It's time for the Movin The Chains podcast. Your home for high school football coverage in the Palmetto State. Every team, every game, every week. And now your hosts, Kevin Thomas and John Epps.
Welcome into Movin The Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps. Jerel Hendricks on the board here for our Week 5 South Carolina High School Football Preview Show. John, I want to start the show here, guys, with a quick shout-out and to the Wren family. Isaac Wigginton, if you guys have not seen an awful car crash the other night, he's kind of going through it right now. He's in the hospital. Everybody's praying for him. Seems to be hopefully staying stable, and definitely want to give a shout out to the Wren program. They know that we're thinking about them and Isaac especially, and hopefully you guys will keep him and his family and everybody at Wren in your prayers, and hopefully he will get better and be good to go here soon. But here in Week 5, John, we're off to an odd start. We've got some games moved up to tomorrow, some games to Thursday, some games staying on Friday, a couple games to Saturday already as well. Some weather issues, potential, I don't know if it's a tropical storm, hurricane, not sure what level it is right now coming through here. Teams trying to figure out what they want to do with that situation, but a lot of moving parts here, but still will be a fun week. I believe almost everybody's in region play. Now, there's a couple non-region matchups here, just the way that schedule had to work out, but I think we are pretty much set into region football play now.
Yeah, and a light week, which actually probably works out for a lot of schools for the better with the rain that's coming in. It looks like it's going to be pretty much a washout almost across the entire state Friday. But hey, if you already have the bye week, it works out great. I know certainly a tough turnaround for the teams that are playing tomorrow night. I know there's a few games that got scheduled for Wednesday night, so that makes things really tough. But hey, you know what? You got to do what you can. And this weekend, I get it. If you get a hurricane coming through, I get it's not really a great idea to play in that. And I don't know what the rules are about. If you don't have school, you can't have an extracurricular activity. That could be the rule too. I know if you're not at school, I don't think you can play. So it makes sense if you don't have school, you can't really have a game either. So yeah. I get it.
Yeah. If you guys tune in for the first time, we really appreciate you. Check us out here on Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains. That's MOVINCHAINS. MovinChains.com is our website. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do a weekly preview show here on Tuesday nights about 7:15 on Facebook and YouTube. Love to have you guys join us for that. We do our recap show, comes out on the podcast platforms on Sundays. We do coach interviews, player interviews, players of the week, teams of the week, all kinds of great stuff. So definitely tune in to all of our content as we go throughout the season here. Actually got a great coach interview, hopefully coming probably Wednesday or Thursday with a really hot team right now. We'll tease it with that, but it should be a lot of fun to follow. As always, get your Movin The Chains merch. We got some great hats, some great hoodies, some great toboggans. Want to shout out our friend Tyler. Ordered a hoodie today. We'll get that in the mail right away to get over to you, Tyler. Appreciate you supporting the boys. Also, some great T-shirts. We got a black T-shirt, a gray T-shirt, a navy blue, and even a pink for the ladies. Hit us up, mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. Love to get you guys repping our gear there. You can send us a message on Facebook as well. It's whatever's easiest for you. Love to have you guys supporting us and helping us make the show better and better with your support there. But John, let's start out like we've been doing the last couple weeks. We'll do the CONA games of the week, which are going to be Greenwood at Hillcrest, Wren at Woodruff, Christchurch at Hampton County, Gray Collegiate at North Augusta, and Hammond at Northwood. We're going to do those 5 at the end of the show. So let's start out now going through 5A down to SCISA, then we'll break in our CONA games of the week here at the end of the program, looking at the 5A slate now, John.
Yeah, and there's a lot of schools, like I said, have their bye week this week. So if you don't hear a school, it's just because they're off.
Yeah. Well, actually, Jerel, any comments we need to shout out before we get going here in 5A? Yes. No.
Probably not.
Perfect. On with 5A. Let's go.
We'll have St. James. We'll go to Berkeley.
Wednesday night game there.
Okay. Tomorrow night. Spring Valley will be at Blythewood.
I believe that's Wednesday as well.
Okay. Myrtle Beach goes to Cane Day.
Wednesday.
Northwestern at Catawba Ridge.
Have not seen a movement there. That's actually a pretty big ball game. I think Northwestern is still undefeated. Catawba Ridge, I believe, has lost one game. Their offense is not awesome, but they got a really good defense. It'll be a good test for Northwestern. I think the Trojans are a better team right now. Catawba Ridge can put up a fight for a while there. I think should be a fun ball game over there in at Catawba Ridge. I believe you said that one is.
Yes. That's over in Fort Mill. Fort Mill, speaking of, they will be on the road at Clover. Stratford will go to Colleton County. Burns is at Dorman. I believe that's tomorrow night.
Another Wednesday night game there. Yet Dorman plays some really good football. Beat a previously unbeaten Riverside team last week. Held them to 13 points. They've been putting up tons of numbers before that. Burns got their first win against Wade Hampton. They've played some good football. Just haven't been able to come out on top until that game last week. Wonder if that kind of breaks the dam open for the Rebels. I don't know. But love what Dorman's doing. Coach Moore's got the boys rolling right now. I think they're going to be a tough out, especially at home on a short week. I'm going to go Dorman.
Yeah, that's a big region tilt right there. Dorman playing good defense, Cavaliers being at home. You got to like that. But I think that's going to be a really good game. Woodmont will be at Easley. Boiling Springs will go to Eastside.
Eastside, a team that I believe is undefeated still. Now, I think they may have lost when they lost to Riverside, I want to say it was. But they have had a really good start there. No, lost to Spartanburg. She's not Riverside. Lost one game there. Boiling Springs had a tough loss to Gaffney last week. Need to get back up. And, I think that they've got a really good chance to be number 2 in that region, maybe number 1 if Gaffney faltered at some point. I don't know. But Boiling Springs needs a good bounce-back win here this Friday.
I think they do it. Boiling Springs, they're a really, really good football team last week, taking Gaffney right down to the wire in a little bit of a crazy game there.
Yeah.
Spartanburg, they will be at Gaffney.
This was interesting. If you guys don't know, and if you don't follow football, I don't know how you missed this, but basically – Gaffney quarterback Javon Gilmore ejected last Friday night in the ballgame, third quarter. Suspension came down 2 ball games, what they're suspending him for, with an incident there on the sideline. Gaffney is appealing. The appeal is tomorrow. Not sure how that's going to shake out. And this is a game we talked about on the previous show last week, John. We thought that Boiling Springs Gaffney was maybe for the region title. Gaffney gets that win in that game, but now all of a sudden you don't have your quarterback. And Spartanburg's not a bad football team. This is a game that you certainly could lose, especially if you're not at full strength. I can't wait to see how that appeal shakes out tomorrow. I don't know if it might go down to 1, might go down to 0, might get pushed back where he can play this week and, decide it on later. I don't know what to expect with the appeal, but that's going to be a big game. Spartanburg, a team that Coach Hodge is trying to get them to take that next step, haven't quite gotten there yet. Gaffney just answers every call, it feels like, every week. They step up to the challenge, they're ready to roll. Will be another challenge this week against Spartanburg, but the Indians are playing great football, both sides of the ball, especially defensively right now.
Yeah, and if Gilmore ultimately does not play in this game, you certainly think the Vikings have a much better chance, whether it's enough to win the game or not. I don't know. They were able to find a way to win against Boiling Springs without Gilmore a lot of that game as well. But it should be another good game and another, pretty pivotal game. If Spartanburg wins that game, things are going to get real hairy in that region.
Yes.
We'll have Somerville going to Goose Creek. Greenwood, one of our CONA games of the week here. Greenwood will be traveling to Hillcrest. We'll talk about more of that game later. Mm-hmm. Greenville goes to JL Mann.
Always a big rivalry there. I think this year JL Mann's a little better football team. What Coach Watson's done there is super impressive. They've taken on all challenges, lost in overtime to Gaffney, but have ran the table besides that. Had a nice win over Daniel, includes some other programs. Playing good football there. Greenville got their first win last week, I believe it was, up off the mat for J. Bo Shaw there, but I still think JL Mann at home, I think they win that ball game.
I don't think this game's close.
Yeah.
I think JL Mann's a lot better football team right now. Lexington will be at Lawrence.
I believe that's a Wednesday game as well.
TL Hanna will go to Malden. Westwood is at Ridgeview.
This game became a lot more interesting the last couple weeks to me. Westwood, started off, I think, 0-2, 0-3. Have won their last 2, including beating Blythewood last Friday 7-0. Blythewood was undefeated going into that ball game. Ridgeview's, played a really tough schedule. They lost to Dutch Fork, lost to Northwestern. I believe they lost to Camden as well. But they just haven't, been able to put a lot of wins together yet. Maybe Westwood's the real deal. I don't know. That'll be a fun matchup down there. It's probably going to be a pretty good rivalry matchup too, I would think.
Yeah, two Blackwood schools. Westwood's one of the newer schools.
Mhm.
Reggie's been there much longer. Yeah, a little bit of a Blackwood rivalry there. And it's a region game, so it's a big deal. Wade Hampton will go to Riverside. Indian is at Rock Hill.
That's a pick 'em matchup there. Indiana team kind of flying under the radar. Love Sequel Patterson. Love Omarion Davis, the DB there. Coach Hastings is doing a fantastic job with that program. Rock Hill kind of got up off the mat, had a nice win over Clover last week.
Yeah.
They played some good football. Clover's a good football team, and Coach Burst did a good job getting those guys to rally and have a nice win. So Rock Hill maybe running into form now as region play comes along.
And they've had a little bit of a tough schedule too. Loris will go to Socastee. Lugoff Elgin will be at Sumter. That'll be tomorrow night.
I believe Lower Soxy is Wednesday as well.
Okay. RB Stall goes to Waccamaw, and Fort Dorchester will be at White Knoll. That's a rematch of I believe the round 2, maybe round
2 or 3 playoff game.
Game last year. Revenge has got to be in the mind for Fort Dorchester because I hadn't seen a team get like that in a long time.
That game is Wednesday as well. That was a game that we went to last year, John. Had to leave at halftime. It was like 42-7, 42-9. It was unreal. Out of hand there. Fort D has been playing good football. Had a tough loss to South Florence, but have played well and got some wins outside of that. White Knoll with the struggle early in the season, struggled with Camden, but beat them. Had the crazy loss to Sumter, or Sumter came back from way behind. But they're playing well with Sharp there at quarterback, Geronimo and those guys. I think White Knoll's a better football team. I think they win that game, but should be a fun one on a Wednesday. And I don't know what to expect on Wednesday for these guys. Do you have time to implement any new game plans? Do you run the same game plan from last week back? I don't know what you do if you're a coach. How much can you try to get implemented, or just like, hey, we're just going to line up and go to our base plays and hope that's enough. Hope we can out athlete these guys and be ready to go.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of it comes down to. Because, gosh, you don't know, and I don't know I'm sure teams have different schedules, but you would think they're probably pretty similar across the board. You would like to think Monday is more of a, hey, let's review what happened last Friday and correct some things that didn't happen the previous week. And then you probably found out today or maybe late yesterday that you're going to play tomorrow.
Yeah.
So there goes really all your practice. You kind of, you're doing your prep for the game tomorrow. So, I don't know if there's, much you can do that's new. If it's just, hey, let's do what we did last week and try to shore up what we missed.
Yeah.
But athletes are going to make plays. Somebody's got to win the game. It's a Wednesday game for both teams. So you're at no one's a more of a disadvantage than anyone else.
Yeah. It's got to be hard for the coaches, because I know a lot of times game gets done on Friday. They come back in either Saturday, even Sunday, watching film for the next week, got their stuff ready, getting ready for install there on Monday, Tuesday. So they probably got it all prepped out. Like, we're going to do this. But how much can you get installed in, a day or two here on a short week? But Jerel, any comments on 5A here from the chat, from you, anybody like that? Kevin, good to have you, man. We'll talk about Gray Collegiate, one of our CONA games of the week here in a little bit. Ballsman says, let's go Gray. We'll get to that one. That will be a fun matchup for sure. Bulldog says Newberry's going to blow out Saluda. Saluta's played good defense. Offense has been shaky a little bit. We'll see how that game goes there. Jacob says Westside Weddington, best of SC versus best of NC. That'll be a fun matchup there. As of now, that was still on for Friday. We'll see how that goes, but that'll be a fun one. Tank says, what's up? What's going on, Tank? Good win for Hartsville last week. Cody says, hell, Gaffney. Huge win for the Indians last week. Talked about that. Will be an interesting matchup with Spartanburg, depending on what happens with Gilmore tomorrow. Chris says prayers for BHP. I believe I saw there's an accident there as well. I saw that today. Yeah, thank you, Zach. There, a bad crash today. So definitely prayers for Wren and BHP, man. You hate to see that happening to these schools and to these kids, man. Hopefully they're all okay. Bradley, appreciate you joining us, man. Appreciate you, as always, being in here.
Getting some more comments, guys. Sorry, I had to scroll a little bit. Got some inner chat going on.
All good. Terrence and Vanessa, what's going on? Hampton County, one of our games. Luke, we'll get to that game here in a little bit here as well. Shannon says news report of the appeal tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Yep, tomorrow at 1 o'clock. That's going down. I saw the alert from the high school league. Interesting to see how that shakes out. I don't know what to expect. I really do not know what to think about that or how it's going to come out. Nathan says after the COVID season, just to a storm is not. That's a great point. We had guys that were finding out on Tuesday who they were playing that Friday and vice versa. So that certainly is a good point there, Nathan. Those coaches had to adjust a lot. Heather says the game's moved up, shows who's really on their game into 4 quarters, so they stay ready. Point. Yeah, I think that comes down to who's got the best base set of plays and who's got the best, honestly, athletes and playmakers at that point. Because there's no trickeration really you're going to see. Scheming too much stuff up there. in a couple of days. Courtney, good to have you in here. Courtney, appreciate you joining us as always. Jerel, any thoughts from you on 5A, on this 5A slate? Or anything we talked about so far, the prep work, the appeal, any of that stuff you want to get your thoughts on out there?
Yeah, I wanted to touch on this Gaffney Bowling Springs thing again. I'm just kidding. I got nothing. Let's go to 4A, guys.
Perfect. Looking down now at 4A, John.
Yeah, we'll see York going to AC Flora. Gilbert travels to Aiken. Landrum will be at Blue Ridge. Hilton Head will go to Bluffton.
Two teams with big wins last week. Bluffton beat Lucy Beckham pretty handily. Hilton Head Island beat Hampton County pretty handily there. Both have started off really high. I think they're both maybe 4-1 to start the season, somewhere in that around that mark there. So should be a fun matchup down there in the Low Country.
Stratford will be at Colleton County. Lower Richland goes to Crestwood.
I believe that's a Wednesday night game there. Yep, I believe so.
Lakewood is at Darlington. Camden will go to Dreer. I'm pretty sure this game was originally scheduled for Thursday.
Originally Thursday, now moved to Friday at Lower Richland. Because, you know, Dreer and AC Flora share the stadium there. That's why it was Thursday originally. I guess now they're going to Friday. Not sure what AC Flora they're going to. Yeah, AC Flora is going to maybe Wednesday. I don't know how it's working out there, but that game is now on Friday at LR.
Okay, and I think they've got a turf field, so
I think so.
Would hold up better if there's a ton of rain Thursday and Friday.
Yeah.
May River will be at Georgetown. Travelers Rest will go to Greer. Lexington is at Lawrence. Brooklyn Casey goes to Midland Valley.
Midland Valley still searching for, you know, they played tough against Gray last week, could not quite come out on top. Their defense played well, it felt like, from what I looked at and what I was able to read about them. Brooklyn Casey got their first win, got up off the mat. Nice one there for BC. Interesting matchup to see which one of those teams has really kind of maybe found something here going into region play. I
think Midland Valley is a better team than what their record currently shows. They've played a tough schedule so far too. Mm-hmm. And again, I've said it a number of times, you just don't replace Dunbar.
Yeah.
That's, you know, that guy was incredible. One of our CONA games of the week here, Gray going to North Augusta. We'll cover that game toward the end of the program. Mm-hmm. Berea will go to Pickens. Lancaster is at Richland Northeast.
I think that's a Saturday game there. R&E is a hot topic right now, man. Playing great football. You know, winning to Camden down to Zip Stadium and won that game handily last week. They're playing awesome. Lancaster's a sneaky team. You know, we saw that last year in the playoffs, man. Those guys can get hot with that running offense they do with R.J. Brown there and guys, Kevin P. up front, the Georgia Tech commit. They can get it going. I think their best bet is going to be to try to just ground and pound, slow the game down, work that clock against R&E. We know what Will Wilson and those guys can do, how fast they can score. So I want to play a little keep away there if you're Lancaster, but I think R&E is still a little bit too much firepower in that one.
Yeah, you know, the tough part is I was able to listen to a lot of that, the second half of that Richland Northeast Camden game. Mm-hmm. And all the talk goes to Will Wilson and the high-profile offense. That defensive line for Richland Northeast was stoning Camden pretty much the entire night. Mm-hmm. That's a tough combination when you got a really good defensive line and a really dynamic quarterback. The Cavaliers could be, if they can play like they did last Friday every week, they could be in for a really special season.
Yes.
Daniel will be at Seneca.
This game was one we debated on being a game of the week. It is in our pick'em contest here. I believe Seneca, I think, is undefeated as well. You know, Daniel lost the one game to JL Man there. Seneca hasn't played the toughest schedule. They beat what we think is a pretty good Powdersville team, I think, back in week 0. That was a nice win for them. Outside of that, have not played the stiffest competition yet. Daniel has played some big boys, played Stratford, played JL Man. I mean, they are answering every challenge so far. I played Clinton last week. The quarterback, Grayson Clary, looks really, really good. He is slinging it around. Just a sophomore, I think, as well. He looks the part for sure. Obviously, all the weapons around him, Bish and Chancellor, and those guys are getting it done. Always tough on defense there. Seneca, I mean, this is a spot where they can show us something. You know, I mean, I think for me, when I think about Seneca, the last couple years has been really good defense. Offense has been lacking a little bit here and there. We'll see what they've got this week. I love I think Raphael Little is a safety. I like him as a good player there for Coach Crane at Seneca. I think Daniel, too much firepower. I think the Lions go on the road and win this game.
Yeah, and this is typically the game. I know that regions have completely shooken up. This is typically the game that decides the region. Typically, it's Daniel winning the game, but and I believe they're both in the same region, right? If they're playing this
year. Let me look. Well,
because I think that region Daniel's in is a little bit tougher this year.
Yeah, they are. I mean, it's Daniel's to lose, I believe. Daniel and Seneca. TR, Greer, Pickens, Blue Ridge,
Yeah.
Berea. Yes, I think these are, Greer maybe a sneaky team there, but I think Daniel, I think, is the best team right now.
Yeah, this could be 1 versus 2. Again, Greer might be able to make a case in there. We'll see Airport go to South Aiken. As mentioned earlier, West Side, they will travel to North Carolina, play a very good Weddington team.
Whoever West Side is playing, they just keep answering the bell every week. I mean, they go to play Prince Avenue last week out of, I think, the Athens area there. Put up 40+, beat those guys. Obviously a close ball game. They score late to win that one. But Cutter Woods, four more touchdown passes. Bomar, big game there. I mean, they just got so many playmakers, man. They are playing great football. I don't know much about Weddington. I know they're ranked, I think, in the top 35, top 40 in the nation this year. I think the defending state champs there in their division is in North Carolina. So a very good football program. I believe Jerel was telling me Thomas Davis, the former Panthers player, his son is on that team there. So they've got some playmakers. But West Side, man, I hope they win the game. I said every time, whenever we're playing a team from out of state, I hope the South Carolina team wins. And I hope West Side does again this week. I would not be shocked at all if they pull off a victory.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty good in all phases of the game right now. They are a very impressive team to watch. And kudos to them for scheduling a tough slate. They're going to be tested, well tested, once region play rolls around and playoffs rolls around for the Rams. Hartsville will go to Wilson. Huge win for the Red Foxes last week, knocking off Dillon. I think that was 38-28 there. Bishop England will go to Woodland, another team that had a really good win last week. They knocked off, I believe, Bamberg Earhart.
Last week. It was interesting. Huge win for Woodland, a team that's kind of flying under the radar there with Coach Eddie Ford. They're still undefeated. Great win there. Bishop England surprisingly got hammered by Porter Gal in the Holy War. I thought Porter Gal had a chance. I knew what they've got with JJ Flood. They're a really good football team, but thought it would at least be competitive, but it was not, man. Porter Gal, really put it to those guys, was surprising to me. Interesting to see how the Bishops bounce back this week.
And then closing out 4A, we'll see Wren go to Woodruff.
One of our CONA games league will break out here in a bit on the show. Any 4A comments here, Jerel? Gilbert by 50. Yeah, I think so too. Aiken's still searching for that win. I don't know if it's this week or not. Ballsman says Gray by 2 TDs. We'll get to that game here in a little bit.
I think there's going to be some defense in that game.
Marquis says it'll be a fun game. Lancaster quarterback, Arnie quarterback special. Hopefully not a hangover game for Arnie. Yeah. I think RJ Brown, I believe, kind of plays all over the place for Lancaster. I guess you consider him the quarterback there. And then obviously Will Wilson at R&E is special. So that'll be a fun one. Marquis said going with the Seneca just because Crew Strong and Daniel's QB's dad is from Gaffney. Interesting.
Okay, cool.
Very cool tie in there. I appreciate that, Marquis. Cody says Greer may be a sleeper team this year. Yeah, they had a big one over Burns. Played Hillcrest tough earlier in the year.
They're certainly improved.
Chris, good evening. Appreciate you. Batesburg-Leesville is rolling right now, as you know. Get to them here in a little bit. Who is the tennis match between me and John? Yeah, I don't play tennis. I'm going to give that one to John. I don't
Nathan, it was the first time I'd been out probably a year and a half. That guy was a lot better than me, but I'll get there. I'll get there. I lost 6-4 in the second set, but good to see Nathan now on the courts last week. Good run into him, talking to him for a minute.
John definitely wins for sure. The chat also agrees. We also have a pickleball question. I assume if Kevin's not playing tennis, he's definitely not playing pickleball. So John
I've not played that either. Yeah.
Just a quick note, that Weddington team actually beat Dutch Fork last year. I forgot about that early in the season, beat them 17-14. So that's a quick note there. So hopefully West Side can get a little revenge, for the state of South Carolina in that game. And can't believe you guys don't have TR as a sleeper in that region.
They're sleeping.
Let's go to 3A.
That was perfect. Anything else on 4A for the end of the 3A slate?
Let's go to 3A, guys.
Perfect.
Talking about North Carolina, Southside Christian, they'll head up and they'll play Andrews out of North Carolina. Not sure where Andrews High School is in North Carolina.
Let's go Sabres. Take them down.
Yes. Southside got to bounce back a little bit. They lost that game Saluda last week.
Was it 19-14? They threw 5 picks, including a pick 6. I mean, they had every chance to win that ball game. Just couldn't quite capitalize.
Whale Branch will go to Battery Creek. Chapman is at Belton Honeypath.
That's a Wednesday night game as well. Chapman, man, they have not put it together yet this year. Lost last week to Christchurch 14-7. Got hammered by Clinton a couple weeks ago. Got hammered by Daniel early in the year. They just have not quite found the right pieces. I think BHP. I think they win big as well.
I think so too. I think Chapman could be, if they could put it together a little bit more, I think they could be a little, tougher team. But I thought they would be a little bit better at this point in the season than they are. Blacksburg will be at Broome.
Another Wednesday night game.
Pendleton goes to Carolina. Keenan is at Chester
Wednesday. And I believe Trooper Floyd for Chester, quarterback, is back. Had a big game last week. I think 200 passing yards, about 60 rushing yards all in the first half. Played very well in their win there. With him being back, that's a totally different Cyclone team. This is a team that everybody was really high on coming into the year. They had, beaten a lot of bigger schools in jamborees and just scrimmages and whatnot. Had a couple tough games there without Trooper. I think they lost to Saluda, a few other lost to Lancaster as well. But with Floyd back at quarterback there, a big-time contender in 2A.
Yeah, good to see him back, and seems like he's in the groove already, so that's good to see. Union will go to Clinton. Swansea will be at Columbia. Williston Elko is at Fox Creek.
Both those games are interesting there. Swansea, a team that was undefeated, lost to Barnwell last week. I believe Columbia is 3-1 and 4-1 as well. The Capitals are playing good football there. We'll see, learn more about both those teams there on Friday. And then Williston Elko, I think they may still be undefeated. I don't know for sure. Actually, they may have lost to Barnwell. They may have one loss there. Fox Creek playing good football as well, have not played the toughest schedule. They are racking up some wins. Two games there between two teams that have pretty good records right now.
May River will go to Georgetown. Talking about another undefeated team there in May River. Christchurch will go to Hampton County. It's a good game right there.
One of our games of the week we'll break down here in a little bit.
We'll have Andrews at Hanahan.
That's a Wednesday night matchup. That'll be a fun one there, I think. Hanahan went to a freshman quarterback last week, played really well in their victory. Andrews, a nice one over the bigger Walkamaw, rival team last week. Brandon Cumbie looked the part there, played really well for Coach Durham. That's going to be a fun matchup down there on Wednesday.
Crescent will go to Liberty. Saluda is at Newberry.
That one is interesting. Newberry, back-to-back losses. For one, you lose to Chapin 2 weeks ago. Okay, understandable.
Very close game, too.
Then you lose to a 2A Fairfield Central last week, a game you had a lead in at half, let them come back. That surprised me. And then Saluda, still undefeated, continue to roll. I know they're playing, without their starting quarterback. The defense has looked great for Coach Young so far. This is probably the best offense they've faced. What Newberry is doing there for Coach Jeter, they're lighting up the scoreboard most weeks, including last week when they lost, and against Chapin when they lost as well. Just going to get enough stops. I think Newberry should have enough firepower to win this game. I believe. I trust Newberry's defense more than Saluda's offense. That makes sense. I know the strengths are Saluda's defense, Newberry's offense, but I think on the flip side, I think Newberry's defense is a little better than Saluda's offense. I think the Bulldogs, that they need to win this game. They're a team that we've been high on all year. A few tough losses lately here. I still think they're pretty good. They need to show me something and win this matchup.
I think they will, but I had the same feeling about Newberry last week against Fairfield Central. And they weren't able to win that game. So I don't know. We'll find out. This will be another good measuring stick for the top half of the 2A slate on, how good is Saluda really. I know we talked about today on, we have some differing opinions on how good we think Saluda is. Fairfield Central's up there. This will be a good barometer check for the Saluda Tigers and see how good they really are right now. Atlantic Collegiate will be at Oceanside. Barnwell goes to Silver Bluff.
That's a Wednesday game as well. When's the last time, John, we're sitting here in week 5 because Silver Bluff hasn't won a game? I don't
know if ever.
It's been a while. It's going to be a tough one this week. Always a fun rivalry there between those two down there at Petticoat Junction. Barnwell playing good football. A nice bounce-back win over Swansea last week. I think the Warhorse is too much firepower. I hope Silver Bluff gets it turned around soon. I don't think it's going to be this week.
I think we'll see a pretty close ball game, though. I think Barnwell is better, but I think it'll be a pretty close game. Loris will go to Socastee. RB Stalls at Walkamaw. Greenwood Christian will travel to West Oak. And Wren is at Woodruff. And that rounds out all of 3A as well.
Perfect. Any other 3A comments, Jerel, from the chat? Courtney says time with the Big Bears tomorrow. I think they win big. I agree, Courtney. I think BHP does as well. Cody says Blacksburg by 14. They need a nice bounce back. Had a tough loss to Central Pageland last week. And then Union County before us. They need to win bad.
Lost a big lead to Union, I believe.
Morgan says Williston game is Wednesday. Thank you, Morgan. So we've been trying to keep track of. There's been so many moving around. So that Williston Fox Creek game will be on Wednesday. That'll be a fun matchup tomorrow night. Ruddy says Saluda will beat Newberry. Certainly could. I mean,
that'd be a big state.
They haven't lost yet, man. Yeah. So that will be. Vossman says all Saluda going to be on y'all for that pick. Hey, we've had it before, man. But I, we love Saluda. Great atmosphere down there. Great folks down there. Big fans of Coach Young. I think it's going to be a fun ball game. Obviously, it's in our pick 'em because it's one that we think could go either way. So
my confidence level is very low.
Certainly be a fun matchup between those two. I believe that one still is on Friday as of now.
That is all we have for 3A, guys.
Perfect. Let's get some friends of the program in here, Jerel. Then we'll look down at the 2A, 1A, and SCISA slate.
Facing unexpected expenses and need a quick play? A personal loan from Founders Federal Credit Union can help you cover costs and get back in the game. With competitive rates and flexible terms, a personal loan from Founders is the winning play. Whether it's for a big purchase or an emergency, we've got you covered. Visit foundersfcu.com/personal to get started. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required.
Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, CONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Go to CONA.care to learn more.
Looking down now at the 2A slate, John, what do we have in 2A action this week?
We'll start with Lake Marion going to Allendale Fairfax. Fairfield Central will go to Andrew Jackson.
Andrew Jackson has played a tough stretch of teams here lately and cannot get it going. Andrews, they played Louisville as well. Fairfield Central looks really good. Back-to-back nice wins over Louisville, and then last week beating the bigger bigger Newberry team. They're playing good football for Coach Davis.
AJ looks a little bit better, but Fairfield Central's the better team in this game. Griffin should win this one. Central DePageland will be at Anson. That's a North Carolina squad. Mid Carolina travels to Red Hot Batesburg Leesville.
That's a Wednesday night game there. I believe Batesburg Leesville just continues to roll, man. They're playing really good football, especially offensively, putting up tons of points. I think they win again.
They should light up the scoreboard again tomorrow night. Whale Branch will go to Battery Creek. Landrum is at Blue Ridge. Blacksburg goes to Broome. North Central will go to Buford. Keenan is at Chester. Union travels to Clinton. Swansea is at Columbia. Edisto goes to Denmark Olar. Pelion on the road at Eau Claire. Christchurch will go to Hampton County. Andrews is at Hanahan. Kingstree at Lake City. Crescent is at Liberty. East Clarendon will go to Manning.
I think that's a sneaky good game there. East Clarendon kind of flying under the radar too. I believe they're playing really good football right now. Manning, they're always tough, always big and physical. I think that's a sneaky good football game there in the 3A ranks.
Then we'll see how we talk about Saluda at Newberry. Really not sure. Oh, Saluda Newberry Saturday now.
Okay. Thank you, Katina. Yeah, I've not seen that movement. So that'll be an interesting matchup.
Do you know what time that's going to be? I feel like it's probably early afternoon.
Noon. I want to say I've seen a couple at noon, a couple at 3 o'clock. So I think somewhere in that ballpark, if I had to guess.
Good to know.
According to the chat, they're waiting on the Newberry AD to announce a time. So moved it to Saturday, but no time yet.
Should we just call him live on the show? See if we can
call him up. Let's see if we can get him on.
Go ahead, John.
We'll have Atlantic Collegiate go to Oceanside. Barnwell goes to Silver Bluff. Lincoln County out of Georgia will go to Strom Thurmond.
Strom Thurmond, nice win last week. The defense, man, has been playing so good for those guys. Offense has not quite gotten it going yet. Got to figure out a little bit more in the passing game there. But the defense looks lights out. The defensive line especially is just killing folks up front. I think the Rebels are going to be a team to look out for as we keep going in the stretch here. But if the offense comes alive, they will be a big time contender.
Yeah. I mean, already contender, and that defense will travel.
Yeah.
And Woodland will host Bishop England.
Yep. Perfect. You want to go through our HTC Hometown Connection game of the week now in the 2A ranks? That is the Tobacco Bowl. Mullins at Marion. Marion's won this game 5 years in a row. They won last year 41-8, but this year things are a bit flipped. Mullins is 5-0, a team that didn't win a game last year, 5-0 right now. Marion 1-4, a tough start to the season for the Swamp Foxes there. Mullins 44-18 over Atlantic Collegiate. Marion a 52-16 loss to Kingstree. Mullins averaging 30 points on offense, 9 on defense. Quarterback Kanazion Bethea 12 for 25, 189, 4 touchdowns last week. Running back LeBron Avant, receiver Justin Reeves. Defensively, Littlejohn with 11 tackles, Crawford with 9, Austin with 8, and Paraki with 8. Dayon forced 2 picks. They forced 5 turnovers last week. Great win for the Auks there. On the Marion side, averaging 6 points per game, John. 39 points allowed on defense. Not a great sign there for Swamp Foxes. Quarterback Ty Rice Davis, Jaquan Ritter at running back, Taj Lathan at receiver, playmaker Gio Warren. I mentioned 5 in a row for Marion. I think it goes back the other way this year. I think Mullins is a better football team right now, especially the way they're causing turnovers, wreaking havoc on defense. I think that bodes well for Coach Lowry's squad. And we talk about them every week, man. Just cannot say enough about what they're doing. A team that literally did not win a game last year was not very competitive in a lot of football games.
Yeah.
Starting off 5-0 right now. That is awesome to see. I think they win the Tobacco Bowl. I think they get a win over at Fox Field. I like Mullins in this matchup.
I do too. I mean, everything is in the favor of the Auctioneers in this game outside of where the game's being played. And hey, you're going to pick one thing to not have on your side. That's the one I would pick. I think Mullins is just a better team. They're playing better. They got more confidence. They're hungry. They have, none of the kids on this team have beat Marion before.
That's right.
So yeah, it's going to be a big deal for them. They're going to be very excited. I like Mullins in this one too.
I will say I wish they could move this game to the end of the season. Not sure why it's being played right now. They're in the same region. Like I don't know what we're doing. Put that one back there at week 10 and make it really significant there. This is a fun rivalry. I mean, it's a good sportsmanship on both sides. Not a heated nasty route. I mean it does sometimes, but two towns that are really tight. And I mean, all the kids know each other. So it's a fun game there for sure in the Tobacco Bowl. But I think we're both going Mullins here in this one. Jerel, what do you like in this HTC hometown game of the week? Once again, HTC, this is Life Connect with it.
Man, just make it a clean sweep. I think momentum's a big thing when it comes to football and sports in general. And one team has it, one team does not. I mean, I did not realize that it was that bad for Marion this year when it comes to points scored and points allowed this year. They just lost a lot. They lost so much talent that they've had the past few years. And the Auctioneers, man, they're just playing with confidence. Heck, even Xavier Leggett is making big plays in the NFL now. So he's getting some targets from the Red Rifle there, Andy Dalton. So just going to ride with Mullins in this one. I think they're too good. And hopefully Marion can get it figured out because not used to seeing these guys be down like this.
Yeah, so once again, that's Mullins and Marion in our HTC Hometown Connection game. Each week, guys, we'll have a game from Marion, Oriole, Georgetown counties as our HTC Hometown Connection game. Drew, any comments from the chat on 2A before we look down at the 1A ranks?
Nope, let's keep rolling, guys.
Perfect. Let's look down at 1A now, John.
All right, short slate this week for 1A. We'll have Lake Marion going to Allendale Fairfax. Hunter Kinder Tyler goes to Bamberg Earhart.
That's a fun game.
Right here.
HKT, a team that a lot of folks are high on. They did not play their best when they played Louisville earlier this year. Got hammered pretty well there. But Bamberg Earhart trying to bounce back from that loss to Woodland last week. That game, I think, is going to be sneaky good there. I like the Red Raiders a little bit here, but could be an interesting matchup.
I agree. I think Bamberg wins this game, but I think it's going to be a pretty competitive ball game. Military Magnet will go to Bethune-Bowman. Branchville, who I'm pretty high on these guys. They're still undefeated. They will host Cross.
Yeah, need to talk about this one. I think you mentioned Branchville, undefeated still, a team that we have not said enough about, and we probably need to. Their offensive line of running back are playing really well. They want to run the ball a lot. That's what they want to do, and they're doing a good job of that. Obviously, Cross, maybe not quite as good as some of the former Cross teams we've seen, but they got some good playmakers. Carmelo Jones last week, 18 for 201, 6 touchdowns and a win. They got a receiver, DB, Caden Ramsey at 6'5". He's a monster there. A good quarterback, Tyler Harris. Both teams want to run the ball. Could be a quick game, a low-scoring game here. But I think Branchville, man, I think they've got – Jerel just mentioned momentum. I think Branchville has momentum right now. I think they get a win over Cross. Be a huge win for that program in that town.
Yeah, they got to play well. Cross is maybe not as good as they have been in the last few years, but still a good team, good program, and they got a lot of pride too. We see it on the show every week.
Yeah.
A lot of support for that Cross program. But, yeah, it should be a really good game. We'll see Calhoun Falls. They will host DOT Charter. Denmark Olar hosting Edisto. Williston Elko going to Fox Creek.
Wednesday, as we learned earlier.
Carver's Bay goes to Green Sea Floyd's.
I believe that is Wednesday as well, I think there.
Okay. Johnsonville will go to Hannah Pamplico.
Hannah Pamplico is a sneaky team too. You guys will see our poll here in a little bit. We'll put it out. I thought about putting them in that top 5. What they've got going on with Poston and Williams there in the backfield are lighting up the scoreboard, playing good football right now. Johnsonville still working on a lot of pieces. They got to replace a lot from last year. Have not quite got it figured out yet. But HP is a team to be on the lookout for in Lower State 1A.
Would be a big time win for them. Just for namesake alone, because Johnsonville's been so good the last few years. It'd be another good confidence builder for that Hannah Pamplico team. Ridgeland will be at Hardyville.
Fun game there.
Used to be the same school.
Yeah, I believe this is their first game since they split again. So that'll be a fun matchup there between Ridgeland and Hardyville.
Hemingway goes to Lakeview. Whitmire will be at Ridge Spring Monetta. Scotch Branch will go to St. John's. And Dixie will go to Towns County High School out of Georgia.
I believe Towns County just played, was it Ware Shoals a couple weeks ago? So
yeah,
they're playing a lot of SC schools right now, it seems like.
Because, we talked about it earlier. I've never heard of Towns County before.
Yeah. Jerel, any comments on 1A or from the chat or even from you on any of these things going on right now?
Nothing in particular. Just wanted to update Courtney. Dylan has the week off. They have a bye this week, but they will be facing Loris next week in a big-time matchup, so that'll be a lot of fun.
Jerel, I do want to ask you, I know you're always big on cross. You're a big cross guy. Big cross.
Hey, big cross, not the little one.
We got Cross at Branchville, an undefeated Branchville team. I believe Cross, I think, may have already lost twice this year.
I think so.
I know we want to work on talking about some more of these small schools that don't get some love. So what do you think about those two guys?
Yeah, I think I think you got to ride the momentum here. I think Branchville is going to win this football game. I think they're really feeling good about themselves. They're getting a lot of love. May or may not see them in our poll a little bit later. But then Cross, it's like John mentioned, this is more than a team. It's a program. These guys are used to winning. A lot of pride. John mentioned pride. So it's not going to be easy for Branchville. But I love these type of games where you see like an up-and-coming team, up-and-coming program go against someone who is more established, who is accustomed to winning, and to see if there's going to be a sort of changing of the guard or if we're going to see a lot of the same thing. I think it goes a lot like the Daniel Seneca thing. Don't mean to piss off any Bobcats fans, but we've seen the story. We've been high on Seneca before. They have played very well. Cade Evanson was a stud for them, a couple years ago. I mean, he was in our Player of the Week noms every week. But when they played Daniel, they couldn't compete. So it's a situation like that. So I like Branchville in this game, but obviously you can't count out Cross.
Yep, and you can also find him on Twitter at OLREL, OL_REL. If you want to talk trash to Jerel, if you're from Seneca, certainly hit him up.
I'll meet you at a Founders parking lot if you want to do that too. So we'll do it.
I love it. Any other comments from the chat, Jerel, before we look down at the SCISA slate?
Let's run the SCISA, guys.
Perfect. We got Dylan Christian traveling to Hilton Head Prep. Trinity going to Northside Christian. Trinity bounced back with 2 wins in a row now, starting off 0-3. Northside, they're only lost to Wilson Hall right now. They're at 4-1. J.R. Kennard's a good running back for them. I think Northside gets a win here. Patrick Henry goes to Faith Christian. Patrick Henry playing good football. I think they win that one. Michael Tucker Mathis there. Cathedral going to Holly Hill. Newberry at Lawrence. Andrew Jackson at Clarendon Hall. Orangeburg Prep at Calhoun. Cross at JDA. Wilson Hall at Florence Christian. Kings at Conway Christian. LMA at Ben Lippen. Cardinal Newman. Tough loss last week to Heathwood Hall. They traveled to Augusta Christian. Coach Helms much needs a bounce-back win there. Thomas Sumter at Thomas Hayward. Wardlaw at King. Wardlaw, tough loss to Richard Wynn last week. Colt Bailey and crew get it going, so I think they beat King this week. Pinewood Prep, 3-2, going to Hilton Head Christian, also at 3-2. Heathwood Hall, we mentioned they got the nice win last week over Cardinal Newman. They traveled to Porter Gaud, who had the big win over Bishop England in a SCHSL matchup there. Oak Brook Prep at Richard Wynn. Colin Prep at Beaufort. PD at Lee Academy. 5-0 Golden Eagles. 3-1-1 Lee Academy Cavaliers. Colby Richardson at PD averaging 234 per game. Tristan Heckman leading those guys on the defensive side and playing running back as well. Golden Eagles look really good right now. I think they get another win on the road at Lee. Dorchester at Carolina. Bethesda at Christian Academy. And then our SCISA game that we'll get to here in a minute, which is Hammond at Northwood Academy. Jerel, any comments from the chat before we go on to our CONA games of the week?
No comments from the chat about SCISA, but Chris wanted to say what's up. Good to see you in here, Chris.
Chris, great to seeing you Friday night over at Boiling Springs. Great to get to talk to you and spend some time with you. Really enjoyed that. Appreciate you as always tuning in here.
All right, let's thank some friends.
At HTC, we're here to keep you connected. Here to provide reliable fiber optic internet with free, fast, and secure HTC Smart Wi-Fi. HTC. Here to connect.
Put Founders in the game and win big with our great rates. Whether you're looking for a loan or want to grow your money with a certificate, Founders Federal Credit Union can help you move the chains on your financial goals. Not a member? No problem. Visit foundersfcu.com to see if you qualify. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. Quick update for all the Braves fans out there. The Braves are leading the Mets 2-0 in the third inning of this pivotal three-game series starting tonight, so Let's go Braves. Get to chopping here, boys. But John, let's take a look now at our Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates games of the week, our CONA games of the week. 5 great matchups across the state. We'll start here in the SCISA ranks. An undefeated matchup in 4A SCISA. That's Hammond, 5-0, traveling to Northwood, who's at 6-0. Hammond last week, 55-21 over Hilton Head Christian, averaging 47 on offense, 16 on defense. This game was 55-0 at the half, John. I saw Coach Wheeler say it's maybe the best half of football he's seen played ever, which means Hilton Head Christian is not a pushover, so being a 55-0 is pretty dang impressive. Quarterback Andrew Turner went 13 for 17, 301, 4 touchdowns. Running back Manny Johnson, a TD run and catch. Receiver Jack Croft had a touchdown. Wide receiver tight end LSU commit Mike Tyler with a touchdown. Defensively, linebackers Brewer Lamont and Drew McCall. Northwood 34-14 over Ben Lippin, averaging 36 on offense, 9 on defense. Austin Grady back at quarterback from an injury. 18 for 26, 226, 2 touchdowns last week. Keyshawn Singleton is running back there. Receivers Washington and Hogan. Defensively, MJ Davis is a playmaker on the back end for them. Last year, I don't have a score from last year, but if they played, Hammond won because Hammond does not lose SCISA football games. We get 2 teams right now, John mentioned 5-0, 6-0, a heavyweight matchup here. Northwood playing really good football. Coach Woodruff has his guys rolling. They've beaten everybody in their past so far. Hammond, we know what they are. We say it every year, whether it's Cardinal Newman or whether it's Lawrence Manning, Ben Lippin, whoever. Is there somebody that can challenge Hammond, John? And is it this Northwood team or is it somebody else possibly? Or just nobody at all?
I don't know if it's anybody at all. I feel like they're kind of like the Dutch fork of 4A SCISA, and until they get knocked off, I can't go against them. Mm-hmm. I think Northwood's really good. Both of these teams beat a Pinewood prep team that I'm program I'm high on. But gosh, I can't go against Hammond. They're that good.
Yeah, they've been hammering everyone, playing really good football, and a lot of guys have a lot of experience, which is really be said for both these teams. Both the quarterbacks have played a lot of football there. I think Hammond maybe a little bit deeper, a little more battle tested. I do think Northwood at home that gives them an edge there playing at home. But I think the Skyhawks, Coach Wheeler, a little too much firepower. I think they win this ball game, but could be maybe a 1 score, maybe a 10-point game. I think Hammond, is a little bit better right now. Jerel, comments from you, comments from the chat. What do you like in this SCISA matchup here between Hammond and Northwood in our SCISA game of the week? Jason says Swamp Cats are struggling, calling Northwood with the upset. Yeah, LMA, they're 2-3. Had a couple nice wins lately, kind of get going. Northwood, that'd be a heck of an upset, Jason. Yeah, a team, I feel like every year we look for somebody to beat Hammond. Haven't found them yet. Maybe it is Northwood. I don't know, but we shall see on Friday night.
I'll keep it brief. Yeah, just Skyhawks. Just got to go with Hammond. It's like the Patriots right now in their prime. They're just playing such good football. So I think Northwood's a great story so far, but at the end of the day, it's still Hammond. And don't want to talk about the Swamp Cats because they're just not doing what I thought they would this year.
A lot of football left, Joe. A lot of football left. Now, our second CONA game of the week, a interesting matchup. It's got to be the first time these teams have played because one of these schools is fairly new, obviously. But that is Christchurch traveling down to Hampton County. The Cavaliers only 1-3. Hampton County 4-1. Christchurch a nice win last week, 14-7 over Chapman. Hampton County 35-14 lost to Hilton Head Island. Christchurch has played a really tough schedule. They played this Hammond team earlier in the year. Played some big boys to start off with. Have not gotten it rolling yet. Averaging only 16 on offense, giving up 36 on defense. Hampton County averaging 30 on offense, 20 on defense, John. Is this a game where, maybe Christchurch has figured something out now? It can be a galvanizing win last week. You find out that your star receiver, Jackson Rep, out for the year with the ACL. You come out and put together a nice win over Chapman. Could that kind of get these guys going, or you think it's Hampton County a little too much for them?
I think the fact that, they won 14-7. I think the loss of Rep is really going to be really tough for this Christchurch team. And Hampton County is really good.
Yeah,
they're really good. I thought they were going to beat Hilton Head last week. I think they were that. I thought they were that good. They're still good. Weren't as good Friday as I thought they would be. I think Hampton County is just a really good team. I know you got Christchurch in 3A this year, Hampton County 2A. Because of the enrollment changes. I think Hampton County is just a better team. I think they're the better team. And Christchurch doesn't have the best player. I think that's. I think it's as simple as that in this ball game. Not that Christchurch is bad, and that was a good win last week. But Hampton County is really good. I think Hampton County is one of the best teams in 2A when all said and done.
For Christchurch, quarterback Tucker Hendricks, a touchdown pass last week. Freshman running back Michael Martin, 85 yards on the ground. He's going to keep getting better and better. He's a kid to look out for. Next couple years, going to be a superstar there for Christchurch. Receiver Jude Hall. Defensively, AC Hatfield, 14 tackles last week. Will Margee, 10 tackles. For Glenn, 9 tackles. Hampton County, Chris Terrier, quarterback, a returning starter there, 9 for 15, a touchdown last week. Running backs Jalen Singletary and Javen Risher. Defensively, Mandrell Sanders, 11 tackles. Malik Terry, 6 tackles, tackle for loss. Singletary playing both ways. A couple weeks ago as our player of the week, had 2 touchdowns rushing and 2 pick sixes, so can get it done both sides of the field there. One thing that worries me about, that loss last week to Hilton Head Island, John, I feel like the story for Hampton County the last couple of years has been they're really big. Like, they got so much size up front, especially. Well, Hilton Head Island ran for 292 on them last week. Did not see that coming. I know Hilton Head Island's a bigger school, but thought they would hold up a little bit better than that. Does Christchurch have Hilton Head's offensive line? Probably not, but they've got a good running back. Michael Martin's a good player there. You mix in Tucker Hendricks, who can be, a sneaky runner there as well, can sling it around. I like Christchurch to start. I think they're starting to, kind of come into form here as we head into region play, starting next week for them probably. I think Hampton County a little too much this week. I think they win this game at home, bounce back from that tough loss last week.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they are. I think last week's more out of the norm than what we're going to see with this Hampton County team.
Yeah. Jerel, what are your thoughts on this matchup? Any comments from the chat on this 1A, 2A game? Sorry.
Yeah, this one. Yeah, no, this one's tough, man. I really think that Hampton County is a more complete team right now. That was kind of an aberration there last week. Just like them getting blown out like that. Didn't really see that happening. It's a size difference between the two programs as far as numbers, but didn't see that happening. I still think Hampton County's better. I think the loss of Jackson Rep is just going to be so much for Christchurch. Obviously, they've got talent, with Hall and Tucker and Michael Martin, as you mentioned there. But when it comes to that offense, Jackson really made it go, and he could always spark something. He was just such a dynamic playmaker, and I think it's going to be tough for them to adjust to that. And I'm not sure they're going to be able to get it done. And they really haven't got it going all year. This is a situation where Hampton County ran into a bump in the road, but Christchurch has been sputtering all year. This isn't the same team that we've seen. And I know people are going to say because they moved up, but they've always scheduled tough non-region. It's just not the way that we're accustomed to seeing them play. I like Hampton County in this one.
Perfect. Any comments from the chat on this matchup, Jerel? Lynn says he likes Hampton County in that one. Yeah, certainly could see it, and I think we're all kind of leaning that way. We just have not seen Christchurch put together a complete football game yet, it feels like.
And they could.
Yeah, that's all we got on this game, guys.
Perfect. Looking now at our third CONA game of the week, a fun game down in the CSRA, John. That's Gray Collegiate at 2-2, traveling to North Augusta. The Yellow Jackets at 4-1. Gray Collegiate a 26-21 victory over Midland Valley last week. North Augusta 37-14 big over Gilbert. Really surprised me in that one. Gray Collegiate obviously has played a really tough schedule, playing Dutch Fork, James Island, Baylor already, averaging 13 on offense, 28 allowed on defense. North Augusta 26 on offense, 16 on defense. Gray last week could not get the pass game going, but quarterback Tyler Waller still ran for a touchdown. B.J. Montgomery went 21 for 154, 3 touchdowns there. Receivers Zoe Grant and Quentin Stroman. Defensively, Trey Singleton, Zeb Taylor, Michael Buller, Aiden Legger are big-time players on that side of the football. Do they have enough? Because I think North Augusta can score some points with their playmakers there. Can Gray Collegiate find the offense? Can they get it going this week? What do you think about this matchup?
I think it's going to be an excellent ball game. I think two pretty good programs, two pretty good teams. And it's a region game now. This is a really, really big one. I think Gray might be a little bit better, but what gives me hesitation about picking Gray or, saying, oh, Gray's definitely going to win. I think North Augusta can be more explosive offensively. What they did against Gilbert was very impressive.
Super impressive.
And I think that game was at Gilbert too.
It was.
Put up 37 points on that team's pretty impressive. But I like Gray. I like Gray. I go back to, they played some tough, Baylor beat them up. They didn't score against Dutch Fork. But at the beginning of the year, they beat a really good James Island team.
They did.
That's very, very impressive. You look at North Augusta on the other side, and had a really good, impressive win against Gilbert. They beat Strom Thurmond the week before. That's really good. I think this Gray team, though, is – I know they were 2A, now they're 4A, but they got the size for it. They've got the size and the talent. I think this would be a really, really good ball game. I just like the talent for Gray a little bit better.
North Augusta, a big game out of quarterback Corey Tillman, who we thought might not even play. We didn't really know. He ends up going 17 for 27, $160 and touchdowns. Also ran it 9 times for 79 yards and a touchdown there. Running back Michael Doe, 20 for 82, 3 touchdowns. Receiver Nick Grant had a touchdown catch. Offensive line anchored by Malcolm Gaston, getting a ton of Power 5 offers right now. I guess Power 4 offers now, excuse me. Defensively, DeAndre Baskett. Linebacker Alex Powell. Defensive back Ty Burke had a pick. Javen Ryans also had a pick last week. Another big plus for North Augusta. They lost that Lexington game by a point. They had some kicking issues. They got a new kicker now. Got a new kicker coming from, I think, from JV. Really excited about him. So that could be a big, big plus there for the Yellow Jackets. I'll tell you, Jerel, and John as well, I like the Gray Collegiate defensive line a lot. And that's always a plus for them. When they were in 2A, they always seemed to have more depth and just more size up front than other 2A teams did. I think they still have a lot of that this year. I think that D-line for Gray against North Augusta will be a huge, huge matchup, and depending on who wins this ball game there. But I am worried about the Gray Collegiate offense. Even last week, you put up 26, okay, but you couldn't get the pass game going at all. The stats didn't look great there. BJ Montgomery, we know he's awesome, so you can rely on him to win a football game, obviously, as you did there. But you play Dutch Fork, you don't get anything going there. You play Baylor, don't get anything going there. That James Allen game, I think they scored 17-14
game.
They have not had a great offensive showing yet, and that does concern me a little bit. I think North Augusta has some playmakers on defense that can, make it hard for them again. I think being down at North Augusta, I like the Yellow Jackets to win this game in a close one. I think Coach Bush and the boys continue to roll.
Yeah, and if North Augusta puts up some points, it could be tough for that Gray offense to keep up. So that's definitely going to be a factor too.
Yeah, Drew, who do you like in this matchup? I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a tight one. I really do.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I like both teams, obviously, but I think North Augusta is going to win this game. I like the fact that they're playing at home. You mentioned that. I like that North Augusta defense. They're very stout up front. We saw them firsthand against Strom Thurmond, and they were just stifling. And like you said, on the back end, they got some playmakers as well. I think that combination of Tillman and Doe is going to be able to do more than what Waller and BJ Montgomery can do for Gray Collegiate. Now, I'm a little concerned. I know Gray's got tons of talent on both sides of the ball, but I'm concerned with the offensive play as well. I know they've played some difficult teams, but Landon in the chat made a great point. They struggled against Midland Valley. That's another team there that's really had a difficult year. But yeah, I think North Augusta is getting a little bit more. I don't think this game's more than one possession. Definitely not more than 10 points. It's going to be a close one. Should be a lot of fun down there.
Perfect. Any other comments from the chat on that matchup, Jerel? Landon said he thinks North Augusta wins. Chris is North Augusta by 4.
Might be the only one picking.
Yep, that's it. That is
perfect.
It.
Now,
maybe I won't pick Gray.
No, you should pick who you pick because you're doing.
You're killing, not us, John.
Yeah.
So yeah, stick to your intuition.
Our fourth CONA game of the week, a 4A, 3A matchup. Wren, the Hurricanes at 3-1, traveling to take on the upstart Woodruff Wolverines at 5-0. Last year we saw this game, I believe, in the playoffs. Wren won 49-32 in that one. Wren had a tough loss last Thursday to TL Hanna, 36-29. Woodruff had a big 45-28 victory over Chesney. Wren, quarterback Colton Bagwell rushed for 159 and 2 touchdowns. Running back Reese Price went for 173 and 2 touchdowns. Defensively, Ramey O'Brien, Catatalan, I hope I said that right. Tyler Morgan, Cam Sanders are big players for them on that side of the ball. For Woodruff, quarterback TJ Morris, running back Aiden Gibson, one of the players of the week, went 31 for 221, 5 touchdowns last week. Receiver/playmaker Corey Moats is a big-time option for them out wide. How about this, John? Tight end Cam Taylor, a really big kid on the season, 12 catches, 6 touchdowns. Love to see that, man. Getting the ball in the end zone when it matters. Defensively, Sean Graybill had 13 tackles last week. Jordan Hood and Trayvon Lee are good players for them as well. I think this game is going to be two teams that want to pound the football, want to run the football. I mentioned Gibson's big numbers there for Woodruff. They've ran for 222 or more in all 5 games this year. On the other side, I mentioned Wren with Bagwell and Price. They put up huge numbers each week.
I think another game where you the difference in this and like I guess it's gonna be a quick game because they're running the ball a lot, but I do think these guys are so explosive. You may still see a lot of points in this one.
Yeah, I think so too. Both really good offenses. The thing that scares me in this game, though, TL Hanna, I think is really. They seem a little bit down this year. I know.
Oh, you're circling back. Sorry, I just heard TL Hanna threw me off.
And that loss to TL Hanna last week scares me. TL Hanna's not as good as they typically are. And they gave up a lot of points to TL Hanna in that game too. Mm-hmm. I think Woodruff is really good.
Yeah,
really good. And they've played bigger school. They really beat up on Woodmont 2 weeks ago. I think Woodruff can play. I don't think the classification between 3 and 4A matters in this one. I like Woodruff. I think they're flat out just a better team here. And,
we mentioned it earlier to start the show, Wren, the situation with Isaac Wigginton there in the big car crash, it's been an emotional week. I mean, it has, honestly. And I don't know if that helps Wren play, up to a higher level, if it makes it hard for them. I don't know what to make of that. So I don't know if that's how to play that into the factor there. But should be a great match. I mentioned it was a 17-point game in the playoffs last year. I think Woodruff is much improved from that squad
Very
there.
much.
Jerel and I saw them back in week 0. The quarterback TJ Morris is a stud. He's an absolute gamer. I mean, it's not going to blow you away looking at him, physical stature wise, but he makes plays, can run a little bit, can sling it. The running back Aiden Gibson, now he will impress you physically. He is a big boy. And he is special there, along with Moats as a sneaky good player. Coach Sloan's done a fantastic job scheming guys and just working on, what can take advantage of the other team's weakness, and they did a great job of that so far this season. And Wren, we know they're going to come right at you with the running game. What Coach Perdomo is going to do, they're going to come right down the hill at you. I think Wren on the road wins a close one. I think they get they get a boost and an emotional lift from this week, and I think the Hurricanes get a win. But this could be a fantastic ball game, I think. Jerel, what do you think about this one?
Man, this one is tough because, it gets harder when you've seen both teams play and you've seen both teams play at a high level. Again, the emotional aspect of it, we've talked about that at length, so we don't know how that's going to affect the game. But when it comes to both of these ball clubs, man, Woodruff can just flat out play offense. You talked about the playmakers there. Aiden Gibbs, he reminds me of James Wilder Jr. If you remember him playing at Florida State, I mean, he looks like that guy, and he is a sophomore. I mean, so he's a load. I love the quarterback. But I don't really like the defense. They really have struggled on that side of the ball. So that's a situation where Wren, we know they're going to like to run the football. They've got some opportunities to kind of slow this game down and keep that offense off the field. But I think Woodruff is very good team. I think they're just a little bit better than this Wren team. And I'm going to go with the Wolverines in this one. It's tough because we've seen both of them, and I think both of these teams can really play. But I'm like John, man, I'm really high on this Woodruff team.
Yeah, tough place to play as well over at Woodruff. Certainly could help out the Wolverines in that matchup. Jerel, any comments from the chat on this 4A, 3A slate? Brandon says Woodruff by 14. Okay. Landon says not sure if any 3A team can stop Woodruff's offense. It's going to be tough, man. I think part of it's playmakers, part of it's the talent they have, part of it is what Coach Sloan does is super special there. Landon says Cam Taylor's special. He is. Eric says go Woodruff. Yep. They're playing good football for sure, Eric and Jackie.
That's all we got for this one.
Perfect. Our fifth and final CONA game of the week here, guys. A fun matchup. Greenwood, Coach Liner's bunch, 3-1. Traveling over to Chandler Stadium, take on the Hillcrest Rams at 4-0. Greenwood had a nice win over TL Hammond last week, John, 25-21, averaging 23 on offense, 15 allowed on defense. Hillcrest, a big win in the Golden Strip Derby, 51-6 over Malden. Coach Swigert's bunch, averaging 38 on offense, 12 on defense. I think this is probably the first, maybe not first, but the biggest test that each team has faced so far this year. Are the Eagles for real, John? Are the Rams this good? What do you like in this matchup?
I feel like I don't know a whole lot about Hillcrest right now. Their biggest test to this point was Greer, I guess.
Yeah, maybe Clover. Clover, not a bad football
Clover, team. That Greer game was tight. Greer, much improved team, I think. But I think Greenwood's been a bit more tested. They had to play a solid Beaufort team, start the season. Dorman and Lexington, I think both of those teams are pretty good as well. I think Hillcrest probably has more talent, I don't know a ton about Greenwood from a personnel perspective. I think Greenwood's playing better football right now. I think they're a little more tested, and I think as of right now, they might be the better team. I think I like Greenwood in this game, and I never would have picked that in the preseason. But Greenwood has played really good football. Their only loss was 20-14 loss to Dorman, a Dorman team that we talked about earlier. A Dorman might be a better Dorman team than we expected this year too. Now, I think this Greenwood team can play some football, and this can be and we've said this a couple times before, it's going to be a pretty pivotal game for this region.
Yes.
Greenwood making the step up to 5A this year, and they're playing the part. I think they're going to be ready. I think it's going to be a really good game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think if it is low-scoring, I like Greenwood to win. I think if Hillcrest gets the offense rolling, score some points, it might be tough for Greenwood to keep up with them. But I like Greenwood in this game.
For Greenwood, quarterback Tristan Lewis, nice game last week, 8 for 19, $164 and a touchdown. Also ran it 17 times for 118 and 2 more touchdowns there. Receiver Landon Still, running back Trey Crawford. Defensively, JT Harling, Kamari Griffin, and Bryce Seaborn. Seaborn's been a playmaker for a couple of years. It is always a factor there on that side of the ball for the Eagles. For Hillcrest, quarterback Caleb Sutton, 9 for 13, 190 and 2 touchdowns last week through the air. A dual threat guy, can run when he needs to as well. Running backs Braden Johnson and Frank Starks. Receiver Weston Willis, 4 catches, $119, 2 touchdowns, averaging 128 a game. Already has 7 touchdowns this season, John. Big season so far for Weston Willis there. Defensively, Constantino, Henderson, Wright, and Antrez Nance up front had 4 TFLs last week. They were playing good on that side of the ball as well. A little bit of series background here from our friends at Hillcrest. Greenwood leads this series 18-7 all time. Last series meeting was 2021. First region meeting since 2017.
Okay.
The thing about this game for me, John, Greenwood, you mentioned they're 3-1. I don't think they played an offense as explosive as Hillcrest yet. You mentioned TL Hanna, you mentioned Dorman, you mentioned Lexington as well, who they beat. 3 teams that they don't have the playmakers that the Hillcrest has, the explosiveness outside. 3 teams that kind of want to do the same thing Greenwood does, where they get big and physical and run at you. Hillcrest wants to play a little bit different football there. And I think this is a different test there for Greenwood. But the same thing can be said for Hillcrest. I think Greenwood is going to be the most physical team, biggest team they've faced so far. The way they run the football is special. And what they do now with Lewis, where they kind of spread it out a little bit more. They kind of backed out of that old school physicality, the way they used to do it. They have a little more spread now, the Eagles do. But I think Hillcrest, a little too much firepower. I think this is a big game for Caleb Sutton here. I think one of the running backs, too, Johnson or Starks, gets going. 2 guys have kind of shared carries lately. I think one of them kind of finds some juice this week. I think the Rams win this game over at Chandler Stadium especially. Should be a fun, but I like Hillcrest to win that matchup. Jerel, thoughts from you or the chat on this Greenwood-Hillcrest matchup?
I think what's making this one difficult is because I feel like Greenwood is a team with a better resume, and then Hillcrest a team that's more talented, and we just haven't been able to see that so far.
Yeah.
So I think that's what makes it a little bit difficult there. I like Hillcrest to win this one at home. I don't feel good about it because I like Greenwood too. I think they're a physical team. I go back to last year when we saw Greenwood play Westside. They were one of the few defenses that was able to kind of confine that passing attack of Westside. I know they get a little bit of weather and things like that too, but they really got after it on defense. So maybe it's a situation where it's a stylistic matchup to where they can maybe limit that Hillcrest offense. But I don't know. I'm going to take Hillcrest. Don't feel good about it, but I think it's going to be a fantastic football game over at Chandler Stadium.
For sure. Any comments from the chat on this Greenwood-Hillcrest game, Jerel?
Hold on just a second.
Hillcrest 22-point favorite, says Landon King. Yeah, I don't know where this stuff comes from. I don't know if I believe with these lines. I mean, I know these guys have supposedly a formula, but I don't know about all that. Chris says Greenwood 60-56.
A basketball.
I don't know if we'll see that much, Chris. We'll see. Landon says Tristan Lewis in a big game. Yeah, he's a special player, man. Played football now. Antoine says Hillcrest by 14. Landon says don't let it blow him out. I think Greenwood controls the game and wins. I mean, that's what Greenwood wants to do. They want to control the clock, all that stuff for sure. Brad says Hillcrest is a good team.
Got weapons.
That's all we got, guys.
Perfect.
I would take Greenwood 22 in the points if that was an option.
I mean, plus 22. That's a heck of a lot. That's 3 scores. I mean, goodness gracious.
I would take that one
for sure. Once again, our CONA games league. We had Hammond at Northwood, Christchurch at Hampton County, Gray Collegiate at North Augusta, Wren at Woodruff, and Greenwood at Hillcrest. If you guys missed any of those, You can go back when the show's over and check those out. I'll try to timestamp those in the information so you will know how to find it. But Jerel, let's give a quick shout out to some friends of the program before we come back and go through our pick'em results from last week and our polls as well.
At HTC, we're here to
Preferred Home Services. How can we make you smile today? Preferred Home Services. For electrical or plumbing, cooling too. Go, 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 Preferred.
Set your kids up with a lifetime of financial success with Smart Start from Founders Federal Credit Union. Just like learning the rules of football, understanding money management is crucial. Our Smart Start products and educational resources help teach kids the basics of saving, budgeting, and smart spending. Give your young MVPs the skills they need to move the chains on their financial futures. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Looking now at our Pick'em, brought to you by Hannah Engineering. Each week we do 11 games in our Pick'em. You can join that still. We still drop your lowest week. We'll probably start that here in a couple weeks, right, John? So, Jerel, who were our leaders in week 4 in our Pick'em contest? Charlie, that's overall. We'll start all over. Back to week 4.
Let's get it out of the way.
A 4-way tie for first with Ben, Charlie, Jaron, and Mark, all with 10, a bunch of 9s as well. I don't know how you guys got so many. I had a tough time. John,
incredible.
You had 8. I had 6. Jerel, I think, just forgot to pick half the games. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I forgot. Omitted half of them.
Tough showing for Jerel last week, but it was a tough slate for sure. And now our overall leaders, Jerel. Charlie at 43. We got Ben, Dale, and Isaiah at 41. Some 40s, some 39s. John's at 43 as well. I'm at 35, Jerel at 33. Long way to go. A lot of fun, guys. I mentioned every week. Do it because it gives you a reason to watch teams other than your own. So it's a lot of fun. Pick'em brought to you by Hannah Engineering. Appreciate our good friends over there helping us out with that. And now we will get ready for our polls here. You know, if you guys don't know, we do our own polls starting about week 4. Week 5 started last week there. We do our top 5 only for each of the classifications. Jerel, do you want to go big to small, small to big? What are you thinking for this week?
Let's flip it. Let's do it that way.
Perfect. In 1A, we've got Abbeville at first, Blackville, Hilda, Bamberg, Earhart, Louisville, and Branchville. Also receiving votes HKT. So that's our top 5 in receiving votes here in 1A. I mean, not a lot of change from last year. I know we see Branchville pop up from last week. They weren't in there last week, but a team that is playing football undefeated right now. We'll learn a lot more about them this week against Cross. That top 4, I think, is pretty solid. You could probably rearrange them a little bit if you wanted to. I think Abbeville probably is a clear 1, but 2 through 4 could be moved around a bit, I would say, John and Jerel.
Yeah, for sure.
Jerel, any thoughts on 1A from you before you go into 2A?
Yeah, I think we're all like pretty solid. We got a good mix on the top 4 teams. We're trying to figure out that 5 spot, but I think the top 4 have kind of separated themselves. Even with Bamberg, they're kind of struggling a little bit early in the season, but trying to see who's going to slide into that 5 spot. It's going to be HKT, Branchville, or some others.
Yeah, no. In 2A, we got Batesburg-Leesville in first place with 2 first-place votes. Clinton second with first-place vote. Hampton County third. Barnwell fourth. Saluda fifth. Also, 3 votes. Red Hot, Fairfield Central. 2A, another one that was kind of tough because you saw 2 of the top 3 teams lose last week. I made it tough to kind of decide what to do with those guys. Saluda stays undefeated. Continues to roll there. Batesburg continues to look really good. Fairfield Central is red hot. You mentioned beating Louisville and Newberry back to back. They're a good team as well. I think 2A is going to be a lot of fun. You got a couple more guys you probably look out for. Like a Chesterfield or a Sherrill, maybe even a Central. Down the road. But I think right now, that is a pretty solid top 5 and 6 squads.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens with Chester once they're healthy.
That too. I thought about putting them in there, honestly, with Trooper Floyd back. I thought about putting them up in the top 5.
Yeah, I was the same way. Yeah, I was the same way. I was thinking about putting Chester up there. Just couldn't justify with them only having 1 win. It's like, who do you drop out of these guys? Yeah. Obviously, Clinton, man. That's Clinton and Hampton County taking some tough L's. Barnwell's got a tough L this year. Saluda, how good are they? I mean, they did beat Chester, but that's without the quarterback. So that's always difficult. And then, as you mentioned, Fairfield Central is they're white hot right now. They're on a roll. So, but we'll learn a lot about them this weekend.
Perfect. Looking now at 3A and 4A. And 3A, BHP continues to roll there. Number 2, a new number 2 team, Loris slides up there. We've got Woodruff at 3, Mountain View at 4. Dillon drops down to 5 and receiving votes. Also, Marlboro County still kind of just laying in the weeds outside of the top 5. Did not get to play last week. Had that game forfeited by North Myrtle Beach. But that's crazy to see Region 5 3A with 3 teams in the top 6 there with Loris, Dillon, and Marlboro County all playing good football for sure in 3A. A couple of teams, I mean, you look like an Ainer team that's red hot. Could have put them out there possibly. We didn't quite make the move on those guys, but I think those right now, I think are the clear-cut top 5, 6 squads.
Yeah, Lower State 3A is going to be a lot of fun come playoff time.
Yeah. Actually, one more team we didn't mention that I had in there last week, Oceanside Collegiate. Didn't have it in this week, but another team I think is really, really good. In the 4A ranks, Westside continues to roll at number 1. Daniel at 2nd, Arney at 3rd. Tie for 4th, South Florence and South Point. Also receiving votes, May River. Some teams there that I feel like, I think 1, 2, and 3, we know they're really good. But then the T4s and the 5th place team, we're still kind of figuring out about. South Florence, some tough games there early on. Played a tough schedule, of course. Looked really good the last time we saw them, the last couple of weeks there for them. South Point, defense has been lights out. Can they get the offense going? May River still undefeated, but how good are they? We don't know. So that back few spots were kind of tough to figure out. But John, Jerel, what do you like in 4A and 3A as well? I was going to mention that.
4A is fun. I mean, I still think Westside is probably far and away at number 1, but the rest of them, are pretty close there together. And I think, the wild thing about South Point and South Florence, you mentioned, they have some good losses.
Yeah.
But that's out of region. Once we get into region play, we'll see how good they really are. We'll see how good May River really is. That hasn't played that kind of competition yet. Region play is going to really sort things out and put teams where they really belong in our polls, at least. But I think the playoffs, again, already looking toward that. It's going to be a lot of fun in 4A as well, especially in Upper State.
Yeah. Looking now, or Jerel, you comment on 4 and 5, 4 and 3.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think 4A, Westside's just the clear cut number 1. Like you could put, Westside would be top 3 in any of the 5A polls. And then it gets fun after that. And then the same thing with 3A. And you talk about that region, you mentioned Ainer. That could be 4 teams that we're legitimately talking about from one region in the top 5. Really high on Woodruff. And then MVP, I think people are maybe upset about the way that the charter schools situation is. I don't really care. When you talk about that backfield of Bryson Drummond and Jalen McGill, and then you have KD Hainsworth out wide, there's not, 3 guys, many teams with 3 guys better than that starting on an offense.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Looking now at 5A, we'll start with Division 2. Northwestern takes over the top spot with 2 first-place votes. Gaffney in 2nd with the first-place vote as well. Irmo at number 3, Hillcrest 4, Greenwood 5. We have a top 5 matchup here. Greenwood and Hillcrest getting after it on Friday night. Also receiving votes, West Florence and Berkeley. I like that. I think West Florence is a team that's been sneaky. We mentioned, I think, on our recap show that they're playing really good defense right now. Yeah. Offense has not been super explosive, but playing really good defense. Had the tough loss to South Florence. It was 14-7, week 0. That's a heck of a ball game there. Berkeley, I still think, is really good. Obviously lost to Winter Park and then lost to Somerville, who is, as you see, one of our top teams there in the bigger 5A division. I think that's a pretty solid poll there in Division 2 of 5A, but I think Gaffney, Northwestern, Irmo, I believe, are the top 3. I think there's a little bit of a gap after that.
Yeah, I certainly agree. And I tell you what, gosh, if you had a round robin between Gaffney, Northwestern, and Irmo, that would be I could see all 3 of them going 1-1.
Yeah,
I think those would be some incredible ball games. I'm really disappointed that 5A is broken up like it is, because I want to see all these guys play in each other in the playoffs. The Division 1, Division 2, but these are 3 really good teams at the top here in the Division 2 class.
That's the funny thing about Division 2. When I look at the poll that we submitted, for our poll, we all had the top 3 teams in a different slot. So that was pretty hilarious. So it was crazy. None of them were identical. We all think those 3 teams are very good.
Yeah.
Obviously, one got 2 first-place votes, but that's funny to think about.
Yeah, no doubt. And the 5A Division 1, we got Dutch Fork still at first there. Somerville at 2, JL Main at 3, Sumter 4. Bowling Springs hangs on in that top 5 spot there. Also receiving votes is Spartanburg. This one was tougher for me probably than the lower one, guys, because I didn't know where to go for that 4th and 5th spot. I felt pretty good about, I think Dutch Fork's up there. Somerville's got to be there. JL Main's got to be there. I didn't know. I was like, I think Sumter's still there, but then Bowling Springs, do you drop them out? If not, who do you put in? I didn't feel comfortable with another team really moving them there. So that was a tough one. I feel like there's some there's a possibility for somebody to make a big run to kind of get up into that 4, 5, 6 spot really in that bigger class.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I felt the same way about the Division II with that 5 spot. Just in all honesty, I feel like I feel weird putting, and I'm not gonna hide it, I put Spartanburg 5 in mine, and I put Greenwood 5 in the Division II, and I honestly don't feel like they don't feel like a top 5 team. They could be.
Yeah.
If Greenwood beats Hillcrest, yeah, they probably are a top 5 team. It just seems weird, and a lot of it's because it's one classification split into 2, but it's just tough to fill that 5 spot. But as region play unfolds, I think the picture is going to become a little more clear, or much more clear on who the top 5 really are. And for Bowling Springs, I think they are very legitimately a top 5 team. For me personally, I couldn't justify not moving them after losing a game when Gaffney had their backup quarterback playing at home. I got to punish you a little bit.
Harsh. John Epps, harsh.
Hey, it is. It's tough out there, man.
Hey, it's tough. We do a top 5. We don't do a top 10. So, I mean, it's the best.
It's funny. I texted Jerel. I was like, Jerel, can we do like a top 6 or 7 today? Just put everybody in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. And that's good logic there with Bowling Springs. It was tough. I left them up there, obviously. I think they're still a very good football team. That's tough, man. You lose that game, all the emotions that were in it, because, they were probably had an advantage there, obviously, in the second half of that game, playing at home as well. But, obviously couldn't get it done. But there was a heck of a showing by those guys. I mean, they played fantastic, especially on the defensive side of the football. So it was a lot of fun to see that. But I think the 5A poll looks great. And it's difficult, like you guys mentioned, splitting it makes it a little bit harder to rank because these teams are in the same regions and stuff too.
Yes.
So like, how can you justify some of this stuff? So it's going to be interesting to keep up with as we go into region play.
For sure. Any comments from the chat on these polls we need to address, Jerel?
I am sure we do have some comments here. Let me go ahead and pull them up.
Tori says MVP Woodruff would be interesting. Yeah, certainly. Well, that's
really fun.
The 2 best teams in the region, in my opinion. I think that's the region title. That will be a fun matchup. Rally's upset they split up 5A. Yeah, it's certainly interesting because it's just so few teams in each class. What makes it tough for me too, which is really odd.
Gaffney, they'll play anybody.
Brandon says Clinton lost to Daniel last week. No team could beat Daniel. I agree with that. Yeah. I think Daniel would be the best 2A team, clearly. Chris says South Point, mutual opponent in Northwestern. They do. Both took losses. South Point played a little bit tighter there. Obviously, a rivalry game. How much did that factor in, obviously? And I think South Florence seems to have found something a little bit on offense last couple weeks, too. So they've gotten better since that matchup. Chris says, I don't agree Gaffney to drop out of the top 5. Oh, Chris wants Gaffney out of the top 5 completely. Okay. Well, I probably can't help with that. Yeah, Chris, I probably can't help with that.
I did not expect that.
Sumter beat a good White Knoll team. They did, Brandon. That's a great point. They came from behind. They were down big in that game. Came from behind to win that one. Courtney says BHP Bears best 3A team. We got number 1 right now, Courtney. We certainly do.
That's all we have right now.
Perfect. Do you want to shout out our teams of the week? We have Woodland, Fairfield Central, and Greenwood, brought to you by Preferred Home Services. Our players of the week, Demarion Coe at Hartsville, Finley Polk at Northwestern, Aiden Gibson at Woodruff, brought to you by the George Agency. As always, guys, continue to follow us here on Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains. That's MOVINCHANS. MovinChains.com is our website. Movin Chains is available on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. We do a weekly preview show here on Tuesday nights about 7:15, live on Facebook and YouTube. We do a recap show, comes out Sundays, do interviews, food reviews, all kinds of great stuff that week. So check us out on there. As always, be sure to tell your friends, share this, like, comment. Love to have more folks comment, and it will be a lot of fun to kind of go through and have more folks giving us their thoughts on the games as we do it. Get your Movin The Chains merch. We got great shirts, great hats, mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. Black shirts, gray shirts, navy shirts, some pink shirts for the ladies. We got great hats as well. Some really good Richardson stuff. We have toboggans for the cold weather, hoodies for the cold weather. Get your stuff, support the gear. Once again, shout out our buddy Tyler who made an order today. We'll get that here in the mail here soon for you, Tyler. Jerel, John, any other comments here on week 5 as we kind of get ready to wrap up, as we're going to head into a weird, I I guess, 3 or 4 days in a row of football.
Yeah, we got a lot of football, a lot of days of football ahead of us. If you're going to a game that we're going to and you want some gear, let us know. We can bring it.
Mm-hmm.
Save both of us a little bit on shipping. So always keep that in mind. And if you are at a game that we're not, or that we're there and you're not buying gear, tell us anyways. Love to see you. Love to say hey. Love to talk to you.
Yeah, for sure. Once again, shout out, and we're definitely praying for the BHP and the Wren communities with those tough accidents they've had this week. Definitely keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Jerel, any thoughts from you or from the chat on just anything else before we finalize the show here?
No, it's going to be another eventful week. Excited about it. Don't know if we're going to get soaked on Friday, if we're going to have to go watch a game tomorrow, if we're going to have to skip, the college games on Saturday. So we'll figure something out. Like John said, if you see us, please let us know. And we'd love to talk to you. Got to meet Chris last week. Really upset we didn't get to meet more Gaffney people, last week at the game. But we did get to speak to Chris and his son. That was fantastic. Obviously got to catch up with Jamarcus Smith, who had a hell of a game for those guys. And Coach Dan Jones, man, it was a pleasure to get to interview one of the coaching legends here in the state of South Carolina as they pulled off that big time win. Great show tonight. Had a lot of fun. Everybody be safe too. I know this weather is going to be a little bit treacherous, so definitely be safe. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Again, run up those socials, especially YouTube. YouTube's lagging behind. Tell a friend, tell your family, support the boys, grab some gear. It's almost that time. It's region play, guys, so it's exciting.
Yep. Don't forget, if you missed part of the show, you can always go back and watch it. It's going to be here on Facebook and YouTube forever. You can go check it out. So definitely try to tune back in to this talk about your class, your game, or whatever. Definitely do that. Chris, I thoughts on Gaffney Spartanburg. Yeah, we kind of broke that down a little bit here in 5A. I think the key, Chris and John, is going to be, is Gilmore able to play or not? If he's not, it's going to be a tough matchup. Just because Spartanburg, I think Gaffney's better. But if you don't have your starting quarterback, this is going to be tough for the Indians. I still think they win the game. May just have to win it a different way, rely on the defense, rely on the run game. But I think Gaffney a little better football team. But we did talk about it a little bit earlier on in 5A there, Chris. But
I think it's a tight, low-scoring game.
Yeah, I think so too. But Moving the Chains is always brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. For Jerel, Hendricks, and John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our Week 5 preview show for South Carolina High School football. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.